The bell cracked the night open. It wasn't a gentle sound meant to gather the faithful. It was sharp, violent, as if iron had struck bone. Sister Eliza ran at the same moment it rang, bare feet slapping against cold stone, breath ripping out of her chest in uneven, panicked bursts. She burst through the seminary's side door, her veil torn halfway from her hair, the pins still clinging like thorns. Behind her, voices rose, men's voices, angry, startled, commanding. A shout cut through them all, her name hurled like an accusation. Eliza. Stop. She didn't stop. She lifted her skirts and ran into the hills, into the dark where the land dropped away and the wind cut like a blade. In her fist, she clutched a thin wooden cross she had torn from the chapel wall minutes earlier. The edges dug into her palm, grounding her, reminding her this was real. Her hands shook, not only from fear, but from knowledge. She had gone to the cellar for candles. That was the lie she had told herself. The truth was darker, she had followed the sounds. The murmured prayers that didn't sound like prayers. The low cadence of men kneeling. The smell of sweat and incense mixing into something sour. She had descended the stone steps slowly, quietly. She had seen them. Men of God, naked except for cloths tied at the waist. Their heads bowed. The bishop standing above them, candlelight flickering across his calm, expressionless face. Obedience, he had said gently, is love in its purest form. A blade had glinted in his hand. You shave, he told one of them softly, as if comforting a child. Because God demands purity. And if you disobey, God will kill you. That was when Eliza screamed. Now she ran until her lungs burned and her legs trembled, until the seminary lights shrank behind her like dying stars. She didn't know where she was going. She only knew she could never go back. By dawn, her body gave out. She collapsed near a fence line miles from the road, dirt streaking her face, knees drawn to her chest, shaking as she prayed without words. The sky was pale gray, the kind that promised neither warmth nor mercy. A shadow fell across her. Eliza looked up, flinching. A man stood there, late 30s, broad-shouldered, his beard rough not from neglect but from grief. His eyes were sharp, guarded, and tired. The eyes of someone who had buried something once and never managed to fill the hole it left behind. What are you running from? He asked quietly. Eliza tried to speak. Her mouth opened. Only a sob came out. The man's gaze drifted past her toward the distant hills, then back down to her bare feet. The torn veil. The terror written plainly across her face. He exhaled once, slow and controlled. Come on, he said at last. Before whoever you're scared of decides to look this way. His name was Thomas Hale. In town, he was known as a widowed rancher who kept to himself, who prayed with his head down and spoke little. People said grief had hollowed him out. They weren't entirely wrong. He brought Eliza to his ranch without questions. Wrapped her in a blanket that smelled of smoke and old winters. Set a cup of coffee on the table like it was a habit carved into muscle memory. She didn't drink it. They'll say I tempted them, she said suddenly, her voice thin. They always say that. Thomas froze. Who? He asked. She swallowed. The men of God. That was when he understood. This wasn't a runaway novice chasing freedom. This was something worse. Something towns preferred to burn rather than face. By midday, the seminary bell rang again. This time, it was not a call to prayer. It was a warning. Word traveled fast. A nun had fled. A scandal had been born. By evening, riders passed Thomas's land too slowly to be travelers. You can stay one night, Thomas said. After that. I know, Eliza said. I don't belong anywhere. She looked at him then. Really looked. For the first time since she ran, something flickered beneath the fear. Not safety. Temptation. By the second night, the town knew where she was. Thomas saw the riders before he heard them. 3 silhouettes cutting across the ridge as the sun bled out behind the hills. He closed the barn door slower than usual, buying time. Eliza stood in the doorway of the house, her hair loose now, wrapped in his late wife's shawl like it might burn her skin. "They're coming for me," she said. "They're passing," Thomas lied. The knock came hard, like it expected obedience. Thomas opened the door just enough. Sheriff Mulleary stood there, hat low, eyes already searching past him. "Evening," Mulleary said. "We're looking for a girl." "Aren't you always?" Thomas replied. The sheriff smiled thinly. "Young. Claims to be a nun. Says she was led astray by her own weakness." Eliza flinched though she hadn't been named. "She's not here," Thomas said. Mulleary leaned closer. "Harboring sin tends to spread it." Thomas didn't move. Neither did the rifle leaning against the wall behind him. "Sunrise," the sheriff said finally. "That's how long you've got before this becomes a problem." When they were gone, Eliza slid down the wall. "They'll say I seduced them," she whispered. "That I imagined it. That I wanted it." Thomas crouched in front of her. "Did you?" "No," the word came too fast, too sharp. Then softer. "I didn't know wanting to be seen could be used against you." Something dangerous passed between them. Thomas stood abruptly. "You'll sleep in the back room," he said. "Door locks." That night, neither of them slept. Near dawn, Thomas heard her crying. He stood outside her door, fist raised, then lowered it. "Eliza," he said quietly. "You don't have to." "I know," she replied. "That's what scares me." She opened the door herself. "They made men kneel," she said. "They said God needed proof. They filmed it. They kept records." Thomas's blood went cold. "That's not faith," he said. "No," she agreed. "It's power." By morning, the town had chosen its story. Whispers followed Thomas into town. A woman spat near his boots. "That's the man keeping the devil's bride," someone muttered. At the store, Sheriff Mulleary waited. "You sure you want to ruin yourself for her?" he asked quietly. "Men like us shouldn't be afraid of truth," Thomas replied. "Sunset," Mulleary said. "Last chance." That evening, torches appeared on the ridge. "They're not here to talk," Eliza said. Thomas checked the rifle. "You still have time to run." "I've been running my whole life." The crowd gathered, righteous hunger burning in their eyes. "Hand her over," Mulleary shouted. "And this ends clean." Eliza stepped forward. "I accuse them because it's true." A stone flew. Fire followed. They fled into the trees as Thomas's house burned behind them. By dawn, they stood inside the seminary cellar. The ledgers were real. Names. Dates. Punishments. They burst into the sanctuary as the sheriff arrived. Thomas fired once into the ceiling. "I start reading," he said. Eliza took the book. "For silence," she read. "Protection." The town broke apart. Truth did what fire never could. By nightfall, men in dark coats arrived. Questions were asked that prayer could not erase. "She's a witness," one said. "She goes nowhere alone," Thomas replied. They rode out days later, whispers following. Eliza didn't look back. Silence had nearly killed her. Truth had set her on fire. And this time, she chose to burn.